Welcome to the University of Michigan Intramural Sports Program's Spring and Summer Online Manager Meeting. To start off, we would like to introduce our Intramural Sports staff. Up first is our Senior Assistant Director, Cheryl Gendrika Wright. Next is our Assistant Director, Nick DeMarkey. Then we have our intern, Andy Bainline. And finally, our student coordinators, Jordan Thiem, Tyler Ankney, Melissa Wolak, and Chad Zimmerman. To get things started, we want to talk about the most important part of intramural sports, sportsmanship. Good sportsmanship benefits everyone, and one person exhibiting bad sportsmanship can make an otherwise fun experience much less enjoyable. In order to maintain the proper playing environment, the sportsmanship rating policy has been established. Each contest will be rated by the officials. Teams will begin the game or event with 10 sportsmanship points. During the course of the contest, teams may lose points if their behavior deteriorates. Point deductions have been broken down into the following 3 levels. Level 1 is a 1-point deduction and is the least severe. This includes things such as verbal warnings and administrative penalties. Level 2 is a 3-point deduction. This includes things such as certain in-game penalties along with spectator penalties. Level 3 is a 7-point deduction and the most severe. This level includes things such as flagrant ejections and alcohol consumption. There are also certain sport-specific deductions for each level that can be viewed here. There's a zero-tolerance policy in regards to alcohol. It is not allowed at any of the facilities, nor should it be used prior to or during any intramural events. Anyone suspected of consuming alcohol prior to their event will be ejected and their game will be forfeited. Along with that, we have a zero-tolerance policy regarding verbal or physical abuse towards our officials, supervisors, and other participants. We're here to promote sportsmanship, and no abuse will be tolerated. For the spring-summer season, men's and co-recreational leagues will be available. In all of our men's leagues, female participation is allowed. It is important to note that in all of our co-rec leagues, there are a certain number of males and females that are needed to participate at the same time. If you are not sure that you are always going to have the necessary number of males and females, we would suggest you play in the men's league. In order to participate in spring or summer intramural sports, you must adhere to at least one of the following. You can be a currently enrolled student. If you are a recent graduate or are not taking courses, you must purchase a rec sports membership in order to play intramurals. Alternatively, you can have a valid rec sports membership. If you have a question regarding memberships, please visit our website, recsports.umich.edu/members. Any of those eligible participants may play on one co-rec team and one non-co-rec team per sport. Current intercollegiate athletes are not allowed to compete on an intramural team in their sport or a related sport. For example, a current football player could not play flag football, but they could participate in our basketball leagues. Additionally, teams are only allowed to have one current club athlete and one ex-varsity athlete on an intramural team in their sport or related sport. So, the club softball team could not create a softball team, but they are more than welcome to create a soccer team. When you arrive to your game, you should present your M card to the official on your court or field who is checking players in. If someone on your team misuses an M card, your team will not be eligible to play in the playoffs. All players that are going to participate in the game must have their M card checked in by the game official. Additionally, players must be on their roster in order to play in the game. To get on the roster, players must join their team on our scheduling website, umich.athleague.com. All players must join the team on the website before they can participate in any games. Now here are some important notes regarding the rosters. As the manager of your team, you'll need to make sure these things are taken care of by 12 o'clock noon the day of your game. Once again, these need to be done by noon the day of your game. First, make sure your roster is set on Athleague website. To do this, you need to make sure that all of your players have individually created profiles and registered for your team. If someone is not added to the roster by noon the day of your game, that person will not appear on the game day roster and will not be allowed to play in that game. It is important to note that players must have participated in at least one regular season game to be eligible to play during the playoffs. As a manager, it is your responsibility that each player is on your roster by noon the day of your game. If you need more players for your team, you can use the free agent board that is located on the Athleague website. If during your game you feel that the rules in the game have been unfairly administered, your team may protest that particular event, provided the protest procedure adheres to the following guidelines. It is important to note that all protests must be made by the team manager only. A rules interpretation protest occurs based on a misinterpretation of the rules by the official and must be made to an official at the time of the alleged misinterpretation occurs, prior to the next live ball. An administrative interpretation protest occurs based on misinterpretation of the intramural sports policies or procedures and must be made before the end of the game. An eligibility protest involves a player's eligibility in a contest in which the protesting team participated in and must be made before the next live ball. You will then see the supervisor on site and receive a protest form. These protest forms must be submitted with a $20 down payment to the IMSB main office by 4:30 p.m. the next business day following your game. Inclement weather happens, and there really isn't anything we can do about it. If it does happen, however, decisions will be posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages, or you can call the Intramural hotline at 734-763-0050. Forfeit should be avoided at all costs. Not only does it affect your team, it affects the team you should have been playing. A forfeit happens when a team does not have enough players to play in the game. If this happens, the opposing team will have the option to take the win immediately or wait 10 minutes to see if the other team will arrive. If the team still doesn't arrive after 10 minutes, it is an automatic forfeit. If your team forfeits, it will result in a loss for the game and a 7-point SRS deduction. This season, we are trying out a new policy. In order to cut down on forfeits, if you know your team will not be able to make it to your game, we will be offering the opportunity to default your game. You will have the opportunity to email us at intramurals@umich.edu with your team name, the league your team is in, and the time and date of your game that you won't be able to attend. This must be done by noon the day of your game. Doing this will give our office a greater chance to fill this game, and because of this, your team will only lose 3 SRS points instead of the 7 you would lose due to a forfeit. However, your team will only be able to default or forfeit 1 game per season. Now on to the biggest question. Is your team going to make the playoffs? The quick answer is every team has a chance to make the playoffs. However, there are certain occurrences that will keep a team from making them. One of these is if a player on your team improperly uses an M card. Additionally, you cannot have defaulted or forfeited more than 1 game. And finally, your team must finish the regular season with at least 31 SRS points. In the playoffs, teams must maintain 7 or more SRS points or else the game will be forfeited. Please mark your calendars now for our playoff instant scheduling date, which will take place on Tuesday, May 29th for the spring season, and Monday, July 30th for the summer season. If you need help signing up, you can click on the link below, which will take you to a video which will explain the process in more depth. Now, to explain a few intramural modifications to our spring-summer sports that may differ from what you have played in the past. This year, all of our games in every sport will be played at L-Bell Field. Our softball teams consist of 10 players, and you must have at least 8 players to start, continue, and finish a game. A regulation game will be 7 innings in length, but all 7 innings must not be played. No new inning will start after 55 minutes have elapsed from the start of the game. Metal spikes are not allowed. We do not have a must-slide rule, so, as a base runner, sliding is one option you have to avoid contact with the fielder. Batters start with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Additionally, any foul ball resulting in the 3rd strike will constitute an out. Bunting and base stealing are both prohibited. New this year, teams will be allowed to score a maximum of 10 runs per inning except for the final inning. Now to the co-rec modifications. Teams may bring as many players as they would like and everyone will be able to bat. New this year, however, teams will create a male batting lineup and a female batting lineup. Batting will then alternate between the 2 lineups. If there's a majority of either gender, that's just fine. Batting will still alternate between the 2 lineups. The gender with less will just end up batting more. While the team is fielding, at no time can there be more than 5 men or 5 women on the field at one time. On to kickball. New this year, games will be played with umpires. The game length is the same as softball, 7 innings or 55 minutes. The 10-run per inning limit is in effect as well. Metal spikes are also prohibited. Teams consist of 8 players, and you must have at least 6 to start, continue, and finish a game. Like softball, there is no must-slide rule. However, you must avoid contact. Kickers will have 3 pitches to kick a fair ball, and the kicking team will provide their own pitcher. Teams can have a maximum of 3 outfielders and a maximum of 5 infielders, including the catcher. Kickball co-rec modifications are similar to those of softball. Teams will have alternating gender batting lineups. Additionally, while fielding, at no time can there be more than 4 men or 4 women on the field at the same time. Next up is our 9v9 soccer league. Games will be played with 2 22-minute halves. Teams are made up of 9 people, including the goalkeeper. 6 players are needed to start, continue, and finish a game, and substitutions are made on the fly. Shin guards, though not required, are highly recommended. Soccer co-rec provisions are minimal. Games must start with at least 3 men and 3 women. Either gender can play with a majority, however, that majority must not be greater than 1. Additionally, all penalty kicks must be taken by a member of the same sex as the person who is fouled. Finally, we have sand volleyball. Each team will consist of 4 players with a minimum of 2 to avoid a forfeit. The match will be at the best of 3 games or a 55-minute time limit. The first 2 games will be played to 25, and the team must win by 2. There is a point cap at 30, and once a team reaches that, they do not need to win by 2. The third game will be played to 15, also win by 2 with a point cap at 20. Teams will change sides after each 5 points are scored. New this year, players will be able to set the ball over the net. Any situations that cannot be resolved through discussion will result in a replay of the point. Sand volleyball co-rec modifications include that teams can have at most 2 men and 2 women. Stay connected with us through our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages, or check out our offerings at the Rec Sports website. If you have any questions regarding what you saw in this video, please don't hesitate to contact us at intramurals@umich.edu. To complete your requirements, you need to complete the manager quiz along with a sport-specific quiz. You can click on the links below. Thanks for watching and have an awesome day.